agenda on 2023 elections. Telecoms Network, says Adamu. Adamu is the national chairman of the APC. What's the hula baloo? I've not said the other one. The electronic result transmission.
Well, I really don't agree with the national chairman of the APC. Allow Telecoms Network. They have a way to circumvent that. They could use other service providers to circumvent poor networks. That should not be your headache. Your headache should be to prepare for the election and ensure that INEC is doing the right thing by way of monitoring. Trying to forestall the use of beavers, trying to cut down on electronic transmission of results shows only one thing. You don't want transparency. That's how I see it.
That would just be also his raising concern, saying instead of plunging this country into chaos, instead of, if we are not sure that this is going to work, can we just have another look at this?
We've seen beavers work in Ekiti. We've seen beavers used in Osun State, even in Edo State. So I wonder why except they're saying that they don't have confidence in INEC.
Those are three southern states, Emmanuel. So if you remember that during the debate as to at the National Assembly, we're going to go electronic when we're trying to pass the Electoral Act. You remember some of the lawmakers from the north raised concerns that some parts of their districts, senatorial district or constituencies, had no, telephony network, but there was an explanation also as to, so we could do 2G or 3G to send some of these results. But I do hope that this does not stand in the way of delivering free, fair and credible, transparent elections. Okay, so elsewhere, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, pictures of fuel queues. Nigerians still suffering and groaning, and this is going back and forth, again and again over the past few months. So marketers warn of possible petrol price increase. So, Emmanuel, the question will be, increase is it from the 210 naira per liter that we buy currently 220 naira per liter?
That's exactly what they're saying.
85 that
yesterday we read that the ex-depot price is now 205 naira. So if they're talking about any increase, it has to be the increase on the price that common man will be paying. And that's about maybe 210 to 250 or 300, considering the fact that this is the UTAT period. And you can see it's painful that you have this kind of queues in Lagos. People still queuing up with jerry cans, and it's going to also be possibly a fire hazard because people want to store petrol ahead of the UTAT to avoid
moving into the
dry season.
The dry season. The nameplate of the Punch news were just beside the nameplate. However, story, Northern APC Christian leaders divided over presidential candidates. You can check that story on the Punch as well from page 35, just above the nameplate. Court stops Nigeria air indefinitely. John's case still 2023. I don't know how I feel about this. A lot has been sunk into this project. Now, I don't know if it's because the local airlines are wary or not comfortable with competition, or I do not just know. So this is the court stopping the inauguration or the start of that airways indefinitely.
You see, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. Before you even begin the process of Nigerian Air or whatever it is named, you should have checked for possible bottleneck. You should have foreseen that there will be protests, there will be kickbacks, blowbacks from the people who are already in the market, and you should have found a way to manage those things.
But is there a justification for those local airlines not wanting competition at all?
It's not a justification, except there is another reason that we don't know of. I think they are also being unfair and being unreasonable. I mean, if the poor man cannot afford to use a private airline, it should be in Lagos. People who can use some modern day transportation, they use Molo, they use Danfo. But not everybody has to use a private mode of transportation. So allow people have that opportunity to choose.
It appears part of the concern of the local airlines, from what I heard, where they appeared, I think before one of the parliament committees, was they were not comfortable that Ethiopian Airlines is going to be like the majority stakeholder. There's going to be the technical partners or the major carrier that will be operating. Then they feel that's going to impact negatively according to them. But perhaps we get some aviation professionals to also explain to us better.
Yes,
still above the nameplate. Reps worry over FG China $475 million deal. Economic downturn hits manufacturers, oil, service firms, and just down the paper, 3 days to hand over. Tola appoint 30 PS. And when I say PS, it's not the other PS that you guys know.
No, it's the permanent secretary.
Yeah. So you are the governor. Just before that, the governor-elect released a statement through his spokesman warning that those people should not. I mean, the newly appointed permanent secretaries will go for the swearing-in ceremony. Did you see any of them?
They were all there.
All of them. All 30. Yes. Without an exception.
Their names were mentioned, and they all stood up to acknowledge their presence. And it was funny because I'm sure some of them may have assured the governor-elect that they would not be there, but who doesn't want to be honored, as it were? I mean, they all came with their friends and family members. It was sort of a funfair yesterday at the government house, the local government service commission hall, where they all came to swear their oath of allegiance and oath of office. They were all there. And interestingly, the chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Osun State, Jacob Adekomi, was part of the people who were inaugurated. In fact, he gave the vote of thanks on behalf of the PSCs. The PSCs, let me put it that way, the 30 PSCs. And interestingly, after that, the governor-elect issued another statement and vowed to sack them.
So this, I mean, the stage is set for some drama, a tussle. And you've seen congratulatory messages, some saying, well, what could those permanent secretaries have done? Because I've had a number of debates that presented themselves, and some have said they are civil servants. I mean, the government is still in power. So it's a very difficult, I mean, a catch-22 situation for them, if you ask me. So this other one, uniform abduct Lagos passengers, probe begins, and also impeachment. You are misinformed, biased. Lawmakers tell Sons. Well, that's the much we have on the Punch newspaper this morning.
All right, let's move on to the Nation newspaper. The Nation newspaper, the banner headline says NNPCL marketers differ over lingering petrol scarcity. Queues lengthen in Lagos, Abuja, others. Again, the first scarcity issue on the Punch newspaper. And still on the Nation, just below the nameplate, it says Appeal Court reinstates Binani Bwacha as Adamawa Taraba candidate. Appeal Court reinstates Binani Bwacha as Adamawa Taraba candidate. And it's interesting because now a court removes a candidate, the higher court reinstates the candidate, another court removes. And why do we still have these issues in our electoral system at the party level?
Yes, I mean, it's down to party chiefs not following their own laws, their constitution. So as it were, the judiciary plays a lot of role, sometimes even determines who the eventual winner is. We've had a number of times where it's been down ultimately to the judiciary deciding who a representative is or deciding who the governor of a state is. I think we need to mature more in our politics as such that if you have laid down rules and laws in your party, in your association, you follow them to the letter. But it also, it's a desperate politics. Politicians and desperation is what we're seeing here. People wanting to circumvent the process, manipulating the process, just for selfish reasons. They're ready to do just anything
to get into power. And it's interesting because they say that they are going there, in the interest of the people. But it's beginning to seem that it is the personal agenda that is taking these people back.
Those who lose do not agree that they have lost. So they are on a perpetual, path, according to them, of seeking justice. And so it's, from one court to the other, you see, from the lower court to the highest court and back again. And it's so disturbing. We need to move and be matured more about this.
We really need to move. PDP governors won't bow to intimidation. That is on the Nation newspaper. Atiku Ayu absent at Abia rally. The G5 governors were present at the Abia rally. Okeze Ekpazu of Abia State hosted the 4 other governors of the G5 yesterday, but Atiku Ayu were absent at that particular rally.
So do you expect them to attend the rally?
Of course, I wouldn't. Wike has said he cannot be in the same room. I'm interpreting loosely now with Ayu and
to their own program. Yes. So the G5. So I mean, we like to see a situation where these men meet, for instance. Like we've seen at Atiku and Bola Tinubu meet.
Yeah, and yesterday we saw Soludo and Peter Obi meet
again. So I just like to see Wiki and Ayu meet, for instance, perhaps at the VIP wing of the international airport.
I want to see how I will respond to Wiki's comments.
I like to see how Wiki responds to Ayu's presence.
It's quite interesting what's happening in the PDP. Still on the Nation newspaper this morning. Can to Nigerians vote your conscience? Can to Nigerians vote your conscience? I think that's a timely one. Court sustains injunction stopping Nigeria air takeoff. We've talked about that and talked sport on the Nation newspaper. Adeleke Al-Sak Palm inaugurated by Oyetola. We mentioned that before. The governor-elect is intent on doing some of these appointments by the state government. African teams in sloppy World Cup start. I think all our African teams have lost at the World Cup. Ghana lost last night to Portugal, through to the other day it was to the Netherlands beating Senegal. So I don't know, why do we not do well on the world stage as Africans now? Is it an issue of technicality? Is it an issue of funding? What exactly is the problem?
Well, so I mean, our level of organization on the continent, I mean, is not what it should be, obviously. But I think it's still early days, Manuel. We still have 2 games to spare in the group. So let's cut them some slack. Let's give them.
Well, you have to start. You have to start strongly.
Well, so Argentina also start very woefully, and let's see if they.
Well, you do have a point that before we leave the Nation newspaper, ransom cash recovered from kidnapped suspects in Ekiti. 4 policemen shot dead. Insecurity again in Southwest. Recovering the ransom cash is a good one, but then having to lose 4 policemen that's 4 less members of the police force to protect the general public. That's really sad coming from Ekiti. That's what we have on the Nation newspaper this morning.
All right, so we'll move on to the Guardian newspaper this morning. We have quite a number of stories, but Guardian is headlining the paper. The banner headline of the paper is about recession fears. Decline in oil, gas output hampers growth amidst recession fears, with the rider Nigeria in technical recession. The technical is in quote.
Technical recession.
Technical recession, says expert. So when
does it become
policymakers begin to be careful in their choice of words. Remember, there was a time we technically defeated the bandits. Boko Haram, the terrorists, and we saw how well that translated to. Here we are again, experts warning that we are in a technical recession, and there's a decline in oil and gas output, and that has hampered our growth, and there is a fear of recession. Actually, in other parts of the world, the Western world, because of the Russian-Ukraine conflict, most of those big economies are effectively in recession. The UK, the US, all of them battling some strong economic headwinds, and it's not really looking good. But unfortunately for us, this is the time, as a country, as an oil-producing nation, that we should actually even earn more. Unfortunately, because of subsidy, because of crude oil theft, we've been at the other end, and it's so sad that while other countries are making money, having oil windfall, we are not making anything.
We can't seem to take advantage of the crisis.
Situation. I mean, so sad. It's so sad. So just below the nameplate of the Guardian newspaper, flood, prepare for high cost of food, increased hunger, farmers warns Nigerians.
I think that's quite a reasonable warning. We can understand why they're giving that one, and the flood really wreaked havoc in parts of the country. We saw hundreds of thousands of hectares. Hundreds of thousands of hectares of land submerged fully, some partially submerged, food barns, food reserves overrun by flooding. And so the little that they have, they want to maximize profits. They are also at loss. They've also run at loss. And the cost of transportation, you have to factor all of these things in. And it's just only rational for them to want Nigerians to prepare for the high cost of food. But the fate of the common man, like I keep saying, is now what hangs in the balance.
Yes. I mean, so the common man, like he's facing a number of challenges on a number of fronts. So there is the threat of a hike in the price of fuel, which has a multiplier effect on every aspect of our national life. Also, one in saying as a result of what happened some few months back prepare for even some other. So you're looking at this on this other side. There's another challenge on this other side. I do hope that the Nigerian, the average Nigerian is given some respite from all of this.
And don't forget that some of these average Nigerians also have to do with personal loss of their own property. And now they have to cope with rising cost everywhere.
And there's also security challenges.
Security challenges. It's crazy.
Very, very disturbing. Senate committee clears Umana, dismisses 480 billion naira fraud investigation. Sanwo-Olu at LSSTF town hall meeting promises improved security. And this once a COSAIL condemns alleged assassination attempt on Obi during rally. And down below the paper here, after I think this is actually the Guardian's big stories on pages 4 and 5. You can check to read it. The impact of the floods. After the floods, picking pieces of ruined investments, livelihoods. Some very heart-wrenching pictures on the front page of the Guardian newspaper this morning. You take a read. You get the paper pages 4 and 5 to see and hear firsthand the account of those who have been impacted by the flood. And just down the low strip of the paper, you have PDP, CUPP, other slam Adamu over deployment of beavers.
Well, that's again going back to the conversation on why some persons are opposed to the deployment of beavers. But before we leave that newspaper, I am saddened by the pictures I'm seeing, coming out from places
from the
where
Guardian newspaper.
Yes. I mean, I did mention earlier that it's not just about returning to the homes now. The structural integrity of some of those houses have failed or are failing. And so in the nearest future, we'll start having building collapses. And so while they think they have some respite from the flood by going back to their homes, they have to prepare for possible collapse in the future, having to start all over again. Let's not talk about the millions of property, appliances, all of those things that they couldn't salvage, while they were living. Let's not also forget the psychological effect of having lived as an IDP. I saw pictures from Bayelsa State, some of the people who were in IDP camps, they were not used to that kind of life. I mean, some of them were even well-to-do persons. I mean, you see people with pictures of their mansions before and after the flood. And it's really, really crazy. So we move on to the Daily Trust newspaper. Staring us right there in the face is a political rally. You can see Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje of Kano State raising up the hand of Kano APC governorship candidate Nasiru Yusuf Gawuna at the flag-off ceremony of campaign for gubernatorial, national, and state assemblies contestant in Gaya Township, Kano South Senatorial District. That was on Wednesday. You have that on the Daily Trust newspaper. But below the nameplate, you have ICT Agric boost GDP to 2.25 in third quarter. ICT Agric boost GDP to 2.25% in third quarter. We can start thinking the tech bros.
Yeah. If you check the headlines, they're sort of quite contradictory. If you ask me, the Guardian is saying decline in oil and gas output and past growth amid recession fears. I'm talking about Nigeria, saying some experts are warning that we're in technical recession. But Daily Trust is reporting that those two sectors actually helped our GDP by
2.5%, 2.25%.
So who do you believe? Whose report will you believe?
We shall believe the report of the Lord. But, well, I think that some of the figures, Guardian's paper may have been looking at it from the whole.
Yeah.
And these ones are just looking at it from sectoral angles, yes. And ICT, Agric boost GDP. I think that we really need to commend what to thrive. I mean, we have a lot of tech bros in town now, working in remote jobs, coding, and all of those things. It's really exposing the fact that Nigerians are really capable people. The only problem is that security operatives need to stop profiling them, and that's why most of them are not open. I have a lot of friends who are in the tech industry, and because of the way they dress, they are profiled by security operatives. So they're not able to come out. This is what I do. How do you explain to a police officer, for instance, that you work a remote job with a company in the US? How do you explain that you work a remote job with a company in the UK, and then they see some strange apps and softwares on your laptop, and they say you are a fraudster. You're coming, and they start extorting and all of that. So we must commend the government for that. And Agric boosting GDP well, some persons would say that the agricultural sector is still wobbly.
And also, I mean, if you check the data, disaggregated data, I think the agri sector still employs the largest number of people in the country. What we now need to check is for the data for Q4 of the year, because you need to now factor in the impact of the floods. And that is definitely going to have a negative effect on the output and whatever data Q4 of 2022 will present for us. But that's the much about the papers.
Yes, that's what we have this morning.
I'll take a break, and when we return, we'll be back here with our guest. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can watch us live on YouTube, Western Spring Television, but do well to subscribe when you watch us. Just click on the subscribe button and follow us on that particular platform. Also on Twitter is at WSTVNG. So after the interview, Emmanuel, I'm looking forward to your trends this morning.
Well, you get to see what's trending.
Sort of a social tonic for us every morning.
Of course.
I love you guys on the social media. Sometimes can be very mischievous. Well, Bola Tinubu was saying he doesn't want to have anything to do with you guys. You make him very angry.
Angry, my blood pressure.
We'll be back after this break. Thank you so much and welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us on Morning Spring. It's coming to you from Western Spring Television. Do well to watch us aside on Star Times channel 190 on the DTT platform. Follow us also on our social media handles on Facebook, on Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. And on Twitter, Emmanuel.
On Twitter, it's at WSTV_NG. At WSTV_NG. You can follow us, tag us to your tweet, and bring our attention to what is trending, bring our attention to the things that you want us to help you amplify, please, within the ambit of reason and, of course, legal codes.
Okay. All right. So, let's bring you our guest this morning. Our guest is a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party. So, as of this morning, Emmanuel, the PDP is an opposition party.
Of course, a strong opposition, if you like.
Oh, strong opposition. So that's going to change in some 48 hours or thereabouts. But then it's still an opposition party.
Yes,
just like the commissioner yesterday said, you see the current commissioner
until the midnight of Saturday 26th.
Interesting, politics in Nigeria. So our guest this morning is a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP. He is the secretary of the inauguration committee, the inauguration of the governor-elect, that Senator Ademola Adeleke is also a member of the caretaker committee of the PDP, and is also a legal practitioner. Mr. Hashim Abioye, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Spring today.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, Western Spring Television. Good morning, the anchors, and congratulations.
Thank you
on this development, this product, this baby that was born here in Osho State. Congratulations to all those behind the innovation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So, I mean, how is the preparation for the inauguration going? How is it?
Well, we thank God for the journey so far. You agree with me that it's been a tortuous journey, but it's been a successful one. So no pains, no gains. So we have suffered the pains. I think the gains are here. So, and as you can see, the main thing is the swearing in of the governor-elect, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke. In the matter of 48 hours from now, he will be the executive governor of Osho State. The main thing is for him to take his oath of office. And once he takes his oath of office, then he gets the mantle of power, mantle of leadership in the state, and all authorities, as far as Osho State is concerned, will defer to him as the executive governor. So preparations are in top gear, but the main thing is for him to take his oath of office on the 27th of November, 2022.
All right, so we'll come back to your feeling us in on some aspect that you may not mind to disclose to the public about the inauguration and how it's going to go on Sunday. But let's talk about what happened yesterday. The outgoing governor inaugurated or appointed 30 new permanent secretaries. And just after that announcement, the governor-elect issued a statement through his spokesman, Olawale Rashid, asking those who are appointed not to attend the inauguration in their own interest, and even going ahead to threaten to sack them if they do by Monday. How is that? But if eventually or incidentally, all of those who are appointed attended inauguration ceremony, attended the swearing ceremony, and they were sworn in as permanent secretaries. Why is the PDP threat? I mean, so the APCL is still in power until the 29th, then to the midnight of 26th. So I mean, why are you threatening them?
Well, it is not a threat at all. And if you follow the trend of events, you will see that since the incumbent governor, the outgoing governor, Governor Isaac Oyetola, lost the election, and when the results of the election were announced on the 17th of July, since then it has been a situation of lopsided appointments, employments that did not follow due process, awards of contracts here and there, and looting of the state treasuries. And you see that as the opposition, because you still, like you said the other time, that we are still in the opposition, but I tell you that it is opposition for position. So now that we are coming on board, we should know that we should know what we are coming to meet. Since the result of the election were announced and the incoming governor, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, was given his certificate of return, you will see that he set up a transition committee. The transition committee wrote severally to the administration of Governor Isiaka Oyetola, and they did not in any way yield any positive side to those requests for them to set up a transition committee so that the two sides would sit together by way of convention and compare notes. So they did not do that, but what they kept on doing was what all of us witnessed. And the peak of it was what happened yesterday. Not only in the area of appointment of permanent secretaries, see that appointment of traditional rulers in recent time, you see all that has happened. You see that all is not well. Many things have gone wrong in those respects. Particularly, for example, see what happened in my hometown in Ikirun. We have never had it so bad in Ikirun regarding appointment of traditional rulers here and there. So we cannot say, because we are coming on board, we will not still play our role as the opposition. You see that the administration of Governor Oyetola, the outgoing governor, will be winding up in few hours from now. You can cast your mind back to 2018 when Governor Oyetola was declared the winner of the election after the rerun election. Cast your mind back to his administration from that period till now. Count how many permanent secretaries were appointed. Count how many people were employed into the teaching service, into the public service, into the civil service. And now count from July 17, 2022, when he lost the election. You will see that his actions are condemnably unreasonable and lamentably puzzlingly lamentable. I say puzzlingly lamentable in the sense that you will sit down and see that this is a puzzle for us, appointing 30 permanent secretaries in one swoop and swearing them in under 2 hours of announcement. And what we learned was that some people were even sacked midnight of the announcement of the appointment of the recent permanent secretaries.
Sacked as how? How were they sacked?
Some people were cleared off the way because they did not cooperate with the outgoing administration in the area of certain things. You see that the appointment was announced by the head of service.
But, was anything wrong in those appointments?
Let me tell you, appointing permanent secretary is not a problem at all.
Okay.
The issue is that was due process followed in those appointments?
What is due process?
Because if you have to capriciously and maliciously remove some people out of the way just to pave way of some people that you consider, some of these who were appointed, we have among them those who are our brothers, those who are our sisters, those who are our friends. So we don't have any personal issue with them at all. But the thing is that was due process followed? If due process was not followed in the said appointment, I don't think it would be wrong for the governor-elect, when he comes on board, to do a review.
Okay, so
and if he finds if he finds at the end of the day that due process was followed, because if he takes mantle of leadership as the executive governor and he finds on his table some papers, some documents, or some complaints that due process was not followed, as the executive governor, he has the power, he has the authority to look into it.
Okay, so
because he has,
yes, if you insist that
if there is no complaint about it, I don't think there is any problem about it. But if there is a complaint,
was not followed, Mr. Bioye, what would you have had the newly appointed permanent secretaries do differently? You want them to disobey the sitting government because you asked them not to attend the swearing in, and you said that they will be sacked by Monday if they did. But they are civil servants. There's an oath of neutrality, and you know that they have also sworn to. So, and I believe that they also obey the last order. Would you have asked them to disobey the sitting government?
This is what I'm saying. For example, now let me paint this example. Maybe while I'm seated here, someone somewhere is in a court asking the court to give an order, ex parte, to restrain me from doing certain things. And the court, one way or the other, grants that order against me without me being heard. If I fail to complain at the end of the day, so be it. But if I go to that court, why will you grant an order against me without affording me my right of fair hearing, without affording me the opportunity to present my own case? You know, that would be a different ball game. The courts, at the end of the day, may see reason to reverse that decision or sustain it if I don't have any genuine reason. What I'm saying is that if there are no complaints officially to the governor, to the incoming governor, regarding the appointment of the 30 permanent secretaries that was sworn in yesterday, I don't think there will be any problem at all.
No, I'm talking about the statement issued by the spokesman of the governor.
It's because there were complaints.
So I mean, that's
there were complaints. People, you know, let me tell you,
ask them not to obey the sitting governor. I mean, that's my point exactly.
Well. It's my you may see the language one way or the other to be a matter of saying, maybe you are saying that they should disobey a constituted authority. That is not the point here. The point is that the interest of Osho people, the larger interest of Osho people, is what is at stake. And so if I feel that what I will do, the step I'm taking, or the step someone has taken, is against the interest, the larger interest of Osho people, that will affect our common interest, that will affect our common resources, that will result in a damage to our common resources, I don't think taking such steps, disobeying such, I will not call that one disobedience. We call that one patriotism.
Patriotism.
Yes, patriotism. If you feel that, oh, this thing that this person has done is not in line with equity, fairness, and justice, and you say that I should you say that I must comply at all costs, and I feel that no, this I cannot do in good conscience. So that is patriotism. So if truly, as we have heard, you know that the governor-elect now, in a matter of time, like we said, will become the executive governor. He has taken briefs. He set up a transition committee. The transition committee has turned in a report. And in fact, the report now has become, let me say, the Bible for the executive governor, for the incoming governor to review, to look at it, because it covers all areas of governance. And so if there is anything that has gone wrong in the process of employment, in the process of appointment, and there are complaints on his table, I don't think he will be serving the interest of the good people of Osho State by not attending to those complaints. I've made it clear that if there are no complaints about the appointment, I don't think that these people are Osho people, and they have served Osho State one way or the other before they were appointed permanent secretaries. But the point is that if some if there was some misgivings along the line, if some steps were taken without due process, I don't think attending to those complaints, attending to the issues, or finding a way of addressing the issues or correcting the anomalies will be a matter of saying that those people are being witch hunted one way or the other. The incoming governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke, has a 5-point agenda which he marketed to Osun people, and the Osun electorate found merit in his 5-point agenda, and they voted for him massively, an overwhelming majority. So that means that anything that will affect the larger interest of Osun people, he will not do it. And anything that will affect the larger interest of Osun people, which has happened, will one way or the other be undone in order to serve the interests of Osun people. So what we are saying is that asking those who were appointed not to attend the swearing-in is a matter of patriotism, not a matter of disobedience to a constituted authority. It's like someone asking you to put your fingers in the fire, and you are saying that, oh, I must obey. I think you are getting my point. So that is not disobedience. But at any rate, it's a matter of due process. So if at the end of the day, it's found that due process was followed, I don't think there will be any problem. But like I said earlier on, cast your mind back to when Governor Oyetola was sworn in 2018, up till July 17, 2022. Count how many appointments had been made. Count how many employments were given to people. Count how many contracts were awarded. Count how many permanent secretaries were appointed. And count from July 17, 2022, since he lost election, up till this moment, and see reason yourself, see reason yourself that is a matter of saying that we will give the incoming administration a problem to deal with, so that it will not have the opportunity to face governor. But I tell you that it is a lie.
All right.
Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke will deliver on his promises and will deliver effectively well to the satisfaction of people.
Thank you. You said that the governor-elect has been briefed, has gotten a holistic briefing. If you say that the current government has not interfaced with your transition committee, what has formed the basis of the briefings? What information did you get that formed the basis of the briefing that the governor-elect intends to work with?
You know, those who briefed the governor-elect, they did not brief me. What I'm telling you about briefing, the term briefing that I've used in that is getting information. He set up a transition committee, like I told you. The transition committee did not operate in vacuum. They interfaced with the people. They interfaced with the business class. They interfaced with those in the market community. They interfaced with civil servants. They interfaced with professionals. They interfaced with technocrats. And if you see that transition committee, you will see that it's populated by seasoned professionals. It was headed by Dr. Muyiwa Oladimeji, and you know who Dr. Muyiwa Oladimeji is. The secretary of that transition committee is Honorable Bamidele Salam, a serving House of Representatives member. So you will see, so if you look at that transition committee, you see that this is a committee of who is who. Those who will not compromise, those who will not bend standard, those who will not in any way cut corners in doing certain things. So they did their job diligently, and they have their facts, and they have turned in a report to the governor-elect, which he has studied and is still studying.
All right.
So, and as a result of that, if in line with what he has got in terms of information, and when he eventually comes on board as the executive governor, inshallah ta'ala, in a matter of 48 hours, he will have to take actions. Let me cite an example. Yesterday was Thursday when the so-called appointment of 30 permanent secretary. The head of service cannot in good conscience tell us that he did not sack some people overnight.
Who are those people that were sacked?
No, let's just leave that.
No, we cannot leave it, Mr.
You're making an
allegation.
You
should
have
be
to prove it.
substantiated.
Let me tell you, this is not a court of law. Let me,
But
so, and I'm not. Let me say, this is not. Let me. I understand you, journalists.
Yes.
This is not a court of law.
I know.
So let those complaints.
Yes.
Let those complaints. So everything will come to the public. Everything you will see. So what I'm saying is that at the end of the day, you will see that you. I mean, what I'm saying here, and the people in the public will bear me out that truly there were lopsidedness. Truly, there were irregularities. Truly, there were errors in the so-called appointment of permanent secretaries. I've congratulated some of our people there, notwithstanding that some of our people we have my brother there. He's a senior brother, but he's my colleague in the legal profession. So that's Mr. Oyeshiku Adelu and some others like that. So I am not a civil servant. Why would I say someone should not rise to the peak of his or her career? But what I'm saying in essence is that if at the end of the day it's found that due process was not followed, it is not me that will find out that due process was followed or not. So if it is found out that some people were capriciously removed out of the way, some people were jettisoned, and that due process was not followed in the so-called appointment, I think the executive governor, the incoming governor of Osun State, Senator Ademola Adeleke, will take the appropriate step.
All right, because of our time, let me just ask you, there's been so much talk about reversals and undoings of some things. How long into the administration of Governor Adeleke, Governor-elect Adeleke will this take, and how long will it take him to start governance in the real sense of governance now?
Well, the issue about reversals, undoings, or whatever, when you are talking about governance, you say how long will it take? When it will start with the issue of governance? I don't know what you mean by that. But what I will tell you and what I know is that the governor-elect is arrangements are in Togwe, and the governor-elect is in high spirits to take over the mantle of leadership. And I tell you that from the moment of his swearing, he will hit the ground running, and you will see actions, positive actions, to the amazement of the people of Osun State, to the good of the people of Osun State. So we will not abuse our common resources like the outgoing APC has been doing. We will not do that.
All right. So, we should also ask you, as we close, about the plans for Sunday. You're the secretary of the inauguration committee. You must be neck deep in plans and activities. So, give us, a sneak preview.
You must have gotten your IV by now.
Oh, okay. So, we've not gotten any IV.
You must have gotten your IV by now.
Yes.
So, what I would say is the area that concerns the media. Okay. But it's unfortunate that the outgoing administration has not been cooperating with us. Ordinarily, swearing in is a state function. It's a matter of constitutional priority. But I think the outgoing governor has not.
Who's bearing the bills?
It's the governor-elect himself. His family.
There's no input
whatsoever from the government. And ordinarily, swearing in events are a matter of state function, a matter of constitutional priority. So it will go down in the history of Osho State that the administration of the APC under Governor Oyetola, for the first time in history, failed to cooperate with an incoming administration in terms of comparison of note, in terms of taking responsibility for state activities. So imagine if it were someone who is not, who is living from, what do we say, from
Grass
hand
to
to
grass.
mouth. So that means everything they have been doing is to frustrate the swearing-in ceremony. But the thing is that the river cannot flow backward. It will be an antithesis, a warning. The thing is that we are moving forward. So, notwithstanding that they did not cooperate, we have been able to put in place some arrangements, and you in the media will see wonders on the 27th of November by God's grace. 27th of November 2022. So go and get your, I think your IV must have gotten to you. So maybe it's hanging somewhere, but it will get to you maybe later in the day.
Mr. Hashim Abia, it's a pleasure talking to you, having you on Morning Spring today. I'm sure we'll have you again and again. By the time the PDP comes into power, different capacities, I trust. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. So that's the first leg of the interview. And when we return, we'll be switching guests, getting our other guests into the studio with us right here on Morning Spring and Western Spring Television. It will take 5 minutes from your own time too. We are good. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's on to Morning Spring, and it's coming to you from Western Spring Television. You can watch us live on Star Times channel 190. That's on the DTT platform. You can also do well to watch us live on YouTube. That's at Western Spring Television. Do well to subscribe when you check us out on YouTube. It's very important. Subscribe on YouTube. Do not forget also to follow us on all of our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. All of them is on Western Spring Television, except on Twitter, which is WSTV_NG. Thank you so much for staying with us here. So Emmanuel will be back later on to give you what's trending on the trends table and the social media. But with me in the studios at this point, guest who will be taking the conversation forward. The chairman, the caretaker chairman of the People's Democratic Party, the PDP in Osun State, Dr. Adekunle Akindele. Thank you so much for coming on Morning Spring this morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you. And the Chief Press Secretary to Governor Adegboyega Oyetola of Osun State, Mr. Ismail Omekudon, just live in the studio. Also, thank you so much for coming.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, let me start with the chairman of the PDP. So as of this moment, I mean, the other time I spoke with Mr. Hashim, I said the PDP city party in opposition as of now, but that status will change in some few hours. But I'd like you to touch on what happened yesterday, and that's, the governor-elect spokesman issued a statement about the appointment of permanent secretaries, and there was a sort of a subtle threat, actually an actual threat that those appointed should not go for the swearing-in ceremony, that they were going to be sacked on Monday. Why is that?
Yeah, the statement from the governor-elect spokesperson was just to guide the so-called permanent secretaries that have been appointed, is to advise them against the illegality that has been perpetuated. And based on that, it is normal for the spokesperson to come out and tell them that whatever that is done illegally before we come on board on Sunday 27th by His grace will be reversed. It's just a warning, per se, that since the appointment was not transparent, was not seen to have followed due process, by the time we get into office, by His grace, from Sunday, everything done will be revealed. And if such things are found not to be in accordance with the regulations of the public service, civil service, it will then be reversed.
Are you not putting the civil servants in a difficult position by asking them, I mean, is that not asking them to disobey the government of the day? I mean, the government still has some few hours to go.
It was just advisory. It's a caution.
It's advisory?
Yes.
But what about the threat that accompanied it? You're saying you're going to sack them by Monday if they too attend that ceremony.
We expect them to know the implication of what they are going into. And for most of them, they've been in service for a very long period of time. They know what it takes to be appointed into such a position. So if at the end of the day, we found that due process was not followed, obviously everything done will be reversed. Well,
Mr. Mikwido, a lot of condemnation, in some quarters, trailing the appointments. Many people said, well, so you've been in power for 4 years. You barely used to maybe appointed up to 4 permanent secretaries. And also in the twilight of your administration, you're appointing 30 in one fell swoop. How do you justify that?
Thank you very much. Let me start by apologizing ahead for my voice. I'm under the weather. I'll try as much as possible to be as audible as possible. Before I answer your question, I don't really know what the discipline of my brother here is. I get worried each time they say illegality. I don't really understand. Are you saying that a government that is in place that has a mandate of 4 years is no longer legal? I don't really understand. You see, sometimes the choice of words of our colleagues from the other side gets me amazed. What do you mean by illegality? How do you conclude that? What do you mean? You, as of this morning, you don't have any authority. And so how can you, who has no authority, be now describing an action of a constituted authority as being illegal? I don't really understand. Maybe they are introducing a new definition of illegality into political lexicon. Having said that, I agree with you that we actually appointed more than 4 since we came in. But talking about justification, I'm glad that Rave FM at one point or the other engage us on this matter. You find senior civil servants, retired civil servants coming on air every now and then to talk about the aberration of using coordinating directors. And from the one when we came in, we've been reviewing this thing. And as at May this year, go and check the records, you can Google. As at May this year, when we had the Workers' Day, the May Day celebration, we made it very clear. The workers made 7 demands of us, and we granted all the 7, including 1, issue of conversion, issue of outstanding promotion, issue of council manager at the local level to become head of administration. And then we made it very clear that we were secretaries. And so what we did yesterday was a fulfillment of our promise.
But that was just some 48 hours to 72 hours to the end of your administration. Is in a laying booby traps?
No, there's nothing like laying booby traps.
I mean, why can't you leave it for the incoming government to do?
It is the same people that will come on air and say we promised, we didn't carry out our promise. And if you check our trajectory in the last 4 years, there's hardly anything we have promised that we did not bring to fruition. For instance, in January this year, when Mr. Governor was felicitating the people of the state, he made it very clear that yes, 2022 is an election year in our state, but that as a responsible and responsive government, we will ensure that we don't allow politics to take shine off governance. And that explains why, even when we were approaching election, we were still working ordinarily, and even people say so. When we went on inspection of the Barwa Road, which we flagged off before the election, some of them were saying, this man, even in spite of the outcome of the election, is still continuing with this one. Ordinarily in other climes, you won't find anybody outside.
But Mr. Mikwido, have you not jeopardized the career of those people you appointed yesterday? I mean, your person appointed yesterday.
How?
Because the incoming government is threatening to sack them by Monday.
Well, I wish them good luck.
Well, let me see. Which of them are you wishing good luck?
I'm wishing the incoming government good luck.
What about
but let me say this. Let me say this. If you listen to how the chairman of the party was trying to justify that statement, from his conversation, from his choice of words, I believe very strongly that they are already regretting issuing that statement.
How do you mean?
Yeah, he just told advisory, I expect him to be forceful in defending that statement.
I mean, I like to put it to him straight. I mean, do you regret? Do you regret issuing the statement?
No, I would have regretted that. We never regretted anything.
But you don't think it's going to be a very difficult one for you to do? I mean, if you come in on Monday, and there are a number of other issues that you've been, complaining about, that you've criticized in the last few weeks about what the outgoing government has done. So you have a number of them that you'll be reviewing. I spoke to some of your senior party officials and senior, associates of the Adeleke who said they'll be reviewing these decisions. So are we going to have, these permanent secretaries actually sacked on Monday?
If we come on board,
yes,
and we review the processes that brought them in, if it's not in accordance with the civil service rules, we have no option than to relieve them. We have no option than to get them sacked. I'm surprised that I don't see the rationale behind the haste in the APC government bringing in permanent secretary at this point in time, when a lot of things that they're supposed to have been doing have been abdicated. For example, as I speak to you, all this while, the transition committee was never set up by them. The swearing committee too was never set up. We have not been interfacing with them. They have not been forthcoming. We expected them that at this point in time, those are the things that we should be doing. I like the question you posed to the CPS, that why the haste at the twilight of the administration in appointing permanent secretaries, in doing so many things that we feel as a party it's just a kind of landmines that make taking off very difficult for our administration. I'm still reiterating it, that as a party that's going to government, a lot of things that have been undertaken in recent times that are not in accordance with the extant rules and laws of the state will be reviewed, and we do the needful by reversing those things that are inimical to the development of the state.
Dr. Akindele, I mean, so the Oyetola administration has accused the PDP of going about, I mean, after winning the election, going about as if losing the election means that governance should stop in the state. So they said, like he also reiterated just some minutes ago, that they are still in government until the 26th of November. So why castigate the APC, the Oyetola administration, for taking any decision whatsoever, so long as it's within the confines of the laws? So you've castigated and criticized them for recruitment of workers, and they said some of those started way before election. About the appointment of traditional rulers, they said it's part of their powers to do so. Is it that you're harassing the APC, as they claim, that since they lost the election, it's like you want them to just stop and the wheel of governance should grind to a halt?
Nobody is contesting the fact that they are still in the office on the 26th, midnight. And outside that, we feel that most of the things that they are doing are not transparent, because we have our people, we get information, and we know what's going on in the government. We don't expect them to take certain steps, at least towards the end of the administration, like appointment of permanent secretary, installation of traditional rulers, without following due process. For example, the Ikiru chieftaincy title, the Oba that was installed, you could see the fallout, the crisis that one has that has caused. I think about 2 or 3 days ago, the palace was set ablaze. Those are the things that we're avoiding, and we feel that those things should not be hastily done now that they're leaving. We feel that they should be preoccupied with transition. Let us meet them. Let us know what's in their books. What are they handing over to us? What are the liabilities? What are the inventories? We don't know anything. We're in the dark. The transition committee that we set up, we were just most of the things that we're doing were just assumptions, and from snippets of information we're able to get from 1 or 2 persons. We don't really know what's going on. We don't know what they're giving to us. We don't know what they're handing over to us. A lot of things that they have been doing, the apartheid has been in that. The interest of the state should be supreme. Government is continual. And we feel that whether you're an APC or PDP, the Osun citizen, the Osun state is what matters most. So if they are leaving, why are we in the dark? That's why most of
your approach.
Most of the things they are doing
yes.
is suspicious. Suspicious.
What's that?
What I'm saying is the appointment and everything. That's what is raising all those doubts about their actions, because fundamentally, as soon as we won the election July 16, we expected them to have set up their own transition committee to interface with us.
Do you also expect them to have slowed down on some of the activities they are embarking on now? Do you expect them not to have, because they've lost the election, that they shouldn't have?
Let me tell you, if the transition committee had been set up from their own end with us, we could have been interfacing. If they are probably going to do one or two things, appointing permanent secretaries, installing transitional council, we'll be in the know. Because obviously we are going to inherit almost all those things. At that level, the transition committee and ours would have met and said, okay, in the next few days, the next few weeks, these are the things that we intend to do before we leave the office. Do you understand what I'm saying? So those things are not there. So it gives room for suspicion. And of course, we can't just keep quiet when we are going into a government and we don't even know what is going on there. That's why most of those things that we are seeing, they are doing, we are looking at it critically, and we feel that those things are deliberately being set up to slow us down, to make taking off as a government difficult for us.
Is that the situation, Mr. Migbodo? Are you intentionally laying landmines, babel traps, to make the takeoff of the Ademola Adeleke administration a very, very tough one?
That is not correct. And let me make a confession here. Honestly speaking, from the way my brother has spoken, I am seeing a different person from, I told you I know him by reputation. From some of the statements I've read, that he signed, his speech this morning appears to be at variance with, some of those, the choice of words. He appears calm and he appears more reasonable than some of the things I've read from him. For instance, the issue of PAMSEC that we just spoke about, he just told you here, to the hearing of everybody, that they are going to find out to see if it does not. But that statement is not the same thing as what was issued by the spokesperson.
Yes, was
issued the problem is that perhaps if the man who issued the statement had the opportunity of bouncing off the idea with other persons around him, perhaps the choice of words would have been different. Because you see, when you issue a threat, when you issue a directive, because it was a directive that don't go, and now that they have taken it, how do you feel? For office of the governor, we should at least be courteous of the kind of directive we issue, because the moment you sit at that top and the moment you say something and it's not implemented or you are unable to carry it out, you begin to lose credibility, you begin to lose authority.
But the issue is,
that is
what was the appointment made?
I have just told you. They can't conclude now when they have not found out. He just told you they will.
Not follow due process.
And you see, Ashim, sometimes, most times, Ashim speaks from both sides of his mouth.
He's a lawyer. So
I know.
Rules also to see,
my brother,
this is the issue.
He may be a lawyer. Just yesterday, he was upgraded at the appeal court in Akwa. He may be a lawyer and may be applying the law wrongly. That's the point. The fact that he's a lawyer does not
follow due process.
Of course it does. What is due process, for instance? Before we came in, some examinations had been done. Some persons were already penciled down for this position, even before we came in. in 2018. Now I'm talking about the transition you just spoke about. You recall, thank God you were the one who called the program on that morning. You see, I believe very strongly that if they had started by extending the hands of fellowship to us, we probably relate him well. But you know, barely 2 or 3 days after the election was when Malam Rashid issued a statement that, oh, they are preferring government property, they are stealing this, they are doing that. And barely a week later or so, they are now setting up transition committee to find out this, to find out that. And I said, excuse me, I remember challenging Dr. Oladimeji on that program that, look, if you knew you were going to set up the transition committee this early, then why start with lies and propaganda? Why? Because the same thing you want the transition committee to do is what you are already accusing us of doing without finding out.
Is that why you did not set up your own transition committee?
Well, the thing is, we have our own transition committee, and as I speak to you today, I'm surprised he's saying that they are not interfacing. Some persons are interfacing with the chief of staff to the governor, as I speak to you today.
Some from their end?
Of course.
Chairman?
Well,
Was there any official letter to that effect?
Put me on. A police commissioner.
Do you have any?
Interfacing with the chief of staff.
I wouldn't know, but I'm a member of our own committee,
the transition committee.
Whatever name you call it.
But I mean, shouldn't there be an interface between your own committee and their own?
Have they met?
That's the point I'm making. I said that they did not extend that hand of fellowship.
But they said they wrote letters, several letters.
Before they wrote the letter, they had started accusing us of stealing government property.
So it was the approach that put you.
Of course, naturally. Respect.
Not magnanimous in victory.
It's not a matter of being magnanimous. It's clear they were not, because on barely few hours after announcing the result of the election, they started destroying our billboards, started attacking some of our people. The records are there, but that is not the issue. The point is, I'm surprised that he says he's not aware. Perhaps, maybe, you know, sometimes you must separate the party from government, sometimes, even though there's a thin line, you know, between them. But I am telling him that if he lives here, he should go and find out that the CPS to the governor said some persons from the governor's elect camp are already interfacing with us, and that the chief of staff to the governor is the person interfacing with them.
That's unofficial. Shouldn't that be more in a more formal way?
How can you say it's not official?
I mean, he's saying he's not aware. They said, they said that you did not respond to their letters.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That is not aware. Does not mean it does not happen. And I'm saying
Is
that
there an official
and I'm saying that if he lives here, he should go and find out from his camp.
As at this moment, there is no official communication. There is
from
no.
Yes,
from the Oyetola government.
But you're saying that
let me tell you, most of these
side.
things that my brother is saying here,
yes,
they are not correct. They are false. Look, in the run-up to the July 16 election, as opposition, they went through hell. They seated here. In fact, for us to have a mega rally, we went through hell. They did so much to frustrate us. We applied to the stadium, We applied for the park and Government Technical College. It was never approved.
All three.
We had no option to go and use the secretariat where we are having our presidential candidate. Governors are coming in. And I mean, for him to sit down here and said, shortly after the election, we start destroying their billboard, beating up their people. That's all fallacy. Let me
caution the youth to celebrate moderately, and that they will go continue the way they was.
That's a fallacy.
As if you look,
government is interested in the welfare, development, and stability of the state, irrespective of what the party is doing. Maybe probably which is not correct, which I've of course denounced. You said our approach immediately after the election that we're not magnanimous and all those things. But should that stop government? Should that prevent you from setting up your transition committee? You see, there are a lot of things they're hiding.
But if you want them to relate and work with you, I mean, shouldn't you also have prepared the grounds? I mean, if you came in with a hostile, approach, a hostile disposition, do you expect to get a?
At that point in time, what stopped the outgoing government from congratulating the governor-elect, which of course the president did, and some of their top members of their party did. The president of the country, Buhari, congratulated the governor-elect. The outgoing governor, did he do that?
In 2018.
Did he do that?
In 2018, Senator Adeleke did not congratulate Oyetola until after the Supreme Court decision. And we are in court. We are challenging your victory already. So, I mean...
that's within your constitutional right. You can... The crux of the matter is... Why have...
I mean, that was a statement issued by Senator Ademola Adeleke on July 17, cautioning and appealing for CAB, for youth to celebrate. I mean, just to, some facts. Of some billboards destroyed around the line.
Dr. Akinino, you...
We have to place it rightly. Don't forget that even at that time, they had a lot of internal crisis, a lot of wranglings.
So are you saying
the structure of their billboard could be from their members? It's not from PDP.
Because of our time, Dr. Akinele, and then I'll come quickly now because we have just a few minutes to go. Inauguration is in a few hours' time, 48 hours to be sure. What should the people of Osun expect from the Ademola Adeleke administration and the PDP?
Well, we've said in several fora that they've gone through a lot, and everything is at the lowest ebb in the state.
Everything.
Everything.
Is there nothing that you?
They did maybe last week when they brought in Akedo to come and commission
the bridge,
the one I described as culvert. Yes, I did. So I mean,
God will forgive you.
Because you can imagine that for good 4 years, the president, who is from their party, has not been able to come to Osun State to commission any landmark project.
So what are you assuring? I mean, what promises are you making to the people of Osun?
Dividend of democracy.
Dividends.
Flooring. All their pains, agonies will be wiped off.
All right.
I don't know which of the pain is talking about. So, I don't know which of the agony is talking about.
And your principal, Gboyega Oyetola, what will be leaving power in the next 48 hours.
Well, let me start this way. That first, we thank God that for 4 years we've been able to prove Doubting Thomas is wrong. I'm surprised that my brother here is saying that the state is at the lower. Well, I don't know what yardstick is using, but if you check, is it ease of doing business? Is it going the IGR? Is it the number of road? We have done over 500 kilometers of road. I mean, name them. So we have been able to discharge our responsibility well. And I believe very strongly.
We need to go now. What's next? What's next for the APC? What's next for Gboyega Oyetola?
Oh, by the grace of God, very soon, this temporary setback.
Call it temporary setback.
It's a temporary setback.
Are you saying you're coming back into office?
By the grace of God.
Is that in 2026?
No.
Before then?
No. We are challenging the result of the election.
We need to run. So we have you some other time, but we also would like to thank you for coming, Mr. Ismail Omikunan.
The pleasure is mine.
To Governor Gboyega Oyetola and also Dr. Adekunle Akindele, the caretaker chairman of the PDP National. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the interview today. Emmanuel will be back here to give you what's trending shortly. Thank you. So please do not forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Spring Television, and do also watch us live on YouTube and subscribe at Western Spring Television. Thank you very much. Femi Olanikwekun, that's my name. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Spring Trends on Western Spring Television. That segment of the Morning Spring program where we bring you who is trending, what is trending, why they are trending, and what people are saying about who is trending. My name is Emmanuel Ojiadugele. Thank you so much for joining us on the TGIF edition of the program. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Western Spring Television. You can also follow me on Twitter at EM Ojiadugele. Very quickly, we'll start on a light note this morning, and we want to tell you that in the next 48 hours, there will be a change of power in Osun State in southwest Nigeria. So who is dancing into government? I have a video to show you this morning. So put on your dancing shoes and let's dance together. You can see dancing there is this governor-elect Senator Ademola Nuruddin Jackson Adeleke. I like his dancing steps. Come on, one time, oh, yeah, shake it, 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 shake it. All right, in the next 24 hours, 48 hours, we hope to see Governor-elect Adeleke dancing at the Oshogbo Township Stadium when he will be sworn in. Now, let's take reactions to that particular video. What are people saying on social media? Eunice Chibundu is our first respondent. Eunice Chibundu, she says, the happiest dancing governor, giving praise to God in Nigeria. Wishing you all a happy thanksgiving. We give praise because he's a good God. If you can see on your screen, Anointed Eno says, I hope he makes his people dance and not monopolize it. That's the second respondent this morning to Governor-elect Ademola Adeleke dancing on, you can see him dancing on his social media. Nigeria is, okay, Damiloju JLT is the next person responding to that issue and is saying, where are his plans for Oshun? Abina dance, Adeleke go dance for 4 years. Well, we hope to see the answer to that question inaugurated in the next 48 hours. Abuchi Gucci says, I goes down to work without fear or favor. Governance is a serious business, but the dance enter Sha. Governance is a serious business, but the dance enter Sha. And then you have Oluwa James looking forward to seeing what his budget for entertainment will look like. That's the reaction on the dancing governor-elect who will be in power in the next 48 hours. Now, yesterday in Osun State, something very interesting happened. The outgoing governor, Governor Gboyega Oyetola, announced the appointment of 30 permanent secretaries to fill vacancies in the civil service. 2 hours after that announcement, as you can see on your screen, the governor swore in and inaugurated these permanent secretaries. Now, people are asking questions on social media. They want to know what is the rationale behind appointing and swearing in 30 permanent secretaries, not 1, not 2, not 10, not 5, not 15, but 30 permanent secretaries into various positions in the civil service with just 48 hours to go to the expiration of his tenure. Let's take the response of people on that. As you can see on your screen, he's been, yes, the first response there is Herbert Ovation, and it says, by Monday, all will be temporary secretary. So the opposite of permanent secretary is temporary secretary. All these people will just use 3 days. By next week, Monday, all of them will be back home, just creating havoc for the new administration. The next comment is talking about Governor Oyetola. Says his victory in 2018, that's Omoye, says his victory in 2018 was controversial, yet forcefully sworn in. That's an allegation by a social media user there. Led a controversial regime both in governance and in party, and his final days stirred fresh controversies that are not ending soon. I want no, alone no. That's Omoye. We've taken Herbert Ovation. And now we moved over to Facebook to see what people are saying on Facebook. Rotimi Williams Akerekoro. Rotimi Williams Akerekoro says, why are we so destructive in playing politics of wickedness and bitterness in Yoruba land, wasting the poor state resources and muddle things together because you are about to leave office? Yoruba Eronu. That's what you're seeing on your screen. Rotimi Williams Akerekoro has just said that why are we so destructive in playing politics of wickedness and bitterness in Yoruba land, wasting the poor state resources and muddle things together because you are about to leave office? Yoruba Eronu. All right, and the next comment on Facebook is Eguche Enemona, thank God. Eguche Enemona, thank God, says, days to hand over, Abi. Nigeria politics not joke. Make the income in reverse. Osun citizens that have been given such appointments should not go for testimony yet, because the incoming governor should not be tamed bad. Ayobami Oyeyinka says, why make it do or die affairs? Did he know he could ever become a husband? Public service is meant to serve and live with an indelible mark, not this water behavior. Kai. Water, everything together. Olaoye Taiwo James, he can choose to employ as many as he wants, and the incoming government can also choose to terminate so many appointments as they want. So there's no reason for alarm. Another comment, Abiodun Ogunbe, it says he can appoint anybody, even 24 hours before the expiration date. These government institutions, there must not be vacuum. That's what you have from Abiodun Ogunbe. Ikenna Williams says, another way of making people jobless. If they are wise, they will reject this promotion. The incoming governor will sack them as soon as he resumes office. Benabo Favor Tivera says, now Pepe Body, they do this one. In fact, he will dare you, referring to the governor-elect. And I must say that the governor-elect has vowed to sack all of those who were appointed yesterday. So in fact, he will dare you by firing them, and there is nothing you can do, as you are just a former governor with little or no relevance again. So there you have it. We have a dancing governor-elect and an appointing outgoing governor. The battle of the governors. We hope to see what will become of these two men after November 27th. Remember to join us on Sunday for live coverage of the inauguration of the Governor-elect Senator Ademola Jackson Nuruddin Adeleke. Don't forget to follow us on our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Western Spring Television. And you can also watch us live and subscribe to our YouTube at Western Spring Television. Remember, thank God it's Friday. Remember to stay on the safe side of the law. Do not get into trouble. Love to see you here on Monday and to join us on Morning Spring, myself and Femi, to bring you trending issues in the polity. My name is Emmanuel Ojadigele. You can follow me on Twitter at EM and tag me to your tweet and tag me to your Facebook post so we can bring them on here. Remember to dance into glory as Governor Adeleke is dancing into government.